everybody, welcome back to the garage. In this video I'm going to walk through my cabin top. I started doing some trimming of it, trying to prep to get it to fit on, and I'll share some of the things I've learned as I've gone through this process. It's a little surprising. It was initially a bit of a concern, but I got over that pretty quickly. But let me just walk you through it and kind of tell you how it worked out. Enjoy. One of the things I decided to do was start trimming my canopy. I've been concerned about it, but I figured I should start it and see how it goes and see what tools work for it. The first thing you have to do is you have to go and trace out here, if you can see them. There's a scribe line in here. You want to trace that out with a pen. I haven't done it on the inside stuff yet, but up here you can kind of see it, just so that it's easier to see, especially when you're cutting. It's a little, I'm being a little careful because sometimes it looks like you're cutting a lot off. And so as an example, I haven't got this marked out, but this cut looks to go right in here, which is okay, but it's interesting. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to do is, and I really didn't find a good place to get information on this, but as you can see here, I've actually cut off the back part. It was low risk because it's going to be hidden, and then I wanted to try it out. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up going out and getting, now this is not my proper rotary tool, or oscillating tool, sorry. This is one that I have as a spare. I'll use my battery operated one going forward. But I went out and purchased the blades and really didn't get a lot of good information on what kind of blades to use for doing the fiberglass. So I ended up getting this. It's a Hercules 4-inch bimetal half moon blade. Put it on here. I have it turned up to the max, and it cut through this pretty good. I mean, it vibrates a little bit every now and then, but overall I'm pretty impressed with it. And what's interesting is when you cut it, you have to figure out and play with it a little bit just to get comfortable with the tool. But you can also touch it up. You can actually hit it and it'll touch it up and cut that down pretty quickly for you. So that's one piece that I did. The second piece I got was I got this. This is an auto body sander. I also picked it up at Harbor Freight. It's 17-inch, and I got a roll of sandpaper that's 80 grit and one that's 120. And back here, if you can see it, you'll see that it's pretty dusty. That's because I was just trying out the 120 on it. And I'll tell you, as long as your cut's pretty good, that 120 really flattens it out pretty fast. I was pretty impressed with it. So, but anyway, these are the tools that work for me. I will, as I progress through this, because obviously I've only cut off one piece, and you can see, here's the part you cut off. And this one on the back is you're not cutting a ton off. But some of the other places you're cutting a lot out. So I don't know, I'll have to just check it and recheck it. But as I go through this, I'll give you a little bit of an update on how that blade's doing. But so far it's working pretty good and holding up. But for the price, they're pretty cheap anyway. I think I paid maybe $8 for it at Harbor Freight. And it does a nice job. I thought about using a jigsaw, but I find with that blade, what's nice is once you get that cut started, you're in a track and it'll track it pretty nicely. A few places, like I said, where, here you can see a little bit, I don't know if you'll see it on the video, but there's a little jump there, another one here, but you can sand those down pretty easily. Anyway, I just wanted to do that, give you a little quick update on this piece of it, and go from there. Have a great day, bye. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention in the video, you'll notice that with this blade, it turns the fiberglass into like a fine powder. You don't get a dust, you get kind of this fine powder that just tends to fall to the floor. So it's also another nice thing about working with it. Like I said, it seems to work really, really well. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And again, have a great day. Bye now. So I started on the rest of the canopy, so I ended up having to sand a considerable amount off. On the sides it wasn't too bad. The cutting was actually pretty easy. You can see here,
And then on the back, at least on mine, there was a lot of sanding that had to be done here. And so, I'd sand it, try it, didn't fit, and decided, you know what, I need to make a jig to do this. So I ended up making this jig out of a piece of wood, measured it against the opening in the doorway, and just measured that piece and checked it out from there. And that way, I don't have to lift it on, take it off, and so on.
So I can take the stick and actually just put it on here, and when I can run it up and down, which I can't right now, then I'll know that it'll actually slide on. It's pretty close, but it's probably half a mil or something that's got to come off. But this is a lot easier than having to go out, try and fit it, take it off, do it again, and damaging stuff. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. It should work out pretty good. Something for you to think about. Thanks, bye. Okay, here is the first time I've actually got this to fit on here on the plane at all. It was painful. So even now it's really tight. I'm gonna end up having to lever it off and sand it down some more, but at least now I'll have spots where I can see where it needs to be sanded a little more. You'll notice here, the lip is pretty much gone. There's not a lot left here. It's required a ton of sanding, and many times taking it off, putting it back on, taking it off, putting it back on. So it was pretty painful. I don't know what they were thinking when they did it. Maybe just the variation. It got to the point where I was thinking, well, maybe it's not the right size, and also not only that, the actual canopy is spread a little bit, so it's about a half an inch wider when you don't have it pushed in here. So now it's tight, so it won't move, but when I go to finish this off, I'll have to clamp it. The one thing I will say is I really didn't believe that I would need, I think I showed you this stick here in the previous video, and I kept saying, well, that can't be right, that can't be right. If I get that to actually fit down out of it, it won't have much of a lip on it. The reality is it was absolutely right. And you really do want to do something like that rather than try and fit it and take it off, fit it and take it off. It's just painful. But pretty happy with that. So pretty excited. And it's kind of a pretty big milestone. I've still got a lot of stuff to do with it. I need to cut this down. What you really want is you want it so that this lip comes down flush with this. And if you see here, it won't be enough here. So by the time I'm done, I'm sure there won't be much of a lip here either as that goes down, right? And also I think, for me at least, just because of how my brain works, I think it would have been better if Vans had not done the scribe lines and instead just told you what to cut off, because I assumed the scribe lines were pretty close to what I needed to cut off, but it wasn't close at all. So, but anyway, you get a good idea of kind of what it looks like. Anyway, cheers. Bye now. One other quick thing. You'll see I've laid the nose piece on here just so you could see this. One of the things is you'll see here, there's this notch that needs to be cut out. It actually needs to be cut on a diagonal here so that you get it nice flush so that this comes up against it. I seen that someone else mentioned it in a video. I figured I'd share it as well, but because it's not quite clear how it is, because you can see the notching here, but now that you see it on here, you can actually see how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to go and stay on the inside. And likewise, on the other side, you see the same thing, right? Anyway, just a quick thing, and now it's starting to look like an airplane. Cheers. Bye now.